Hey knitters, welcome back to Rena Knits. In this week's video, what we're going to learn is how to make a baby hat. Now this is for a newborn. It has a little string here and it sits really well on the head, but you can change the number of stitches you cast to make it for any age. But try it out and let me know what you think. It comes out really cute. In order to make the baby hat, the material you will need is yarn. I usually stick to a weight of 4 yarn, and simply because it's thick enough. But you could try the baby yarn as well, because it'll be softer for this baby skin, young child's skin. So, but still, the weight of 4 would work. You will need measurement tape, a sewing needle, a crochet hook is optional, and then also needles themselves, straight needles. Now I am using a US 7 size needles, but anywhere between US 7 and US 10 size needles will be good for this particular project. But I am going to be casting on 30 stitches. Now with the US 7 size, these 30 stitches will be good for a baby who is 3 months to 6 months old. So I am now going to cast on 30 stitches for this particular demonstration. Once you have 30 stitches cast, what you're going to do for the first row is purl the wool row. So you're going to start off by purling the wool row. Row 1 is all purl. Row 2 will be all knit. So the wool row will be knit row. Row 3 again will be all purl. Now for row 4 onwards, we're getting into the actual pattern that will be repetitive. So for row 4, what you're going to do is knit the first 10 stitches. Nine and 10. So once you've knit the first 10, the remaining 20 you will purl. So for row 5 now, you will knit the wool row again. So row 5 is all knit. Now for row 6, we're going to repeat row 4. So we're going to knit 10 and purl 20. Nine, 10, and then purl 20. So row 7 now, what we're going to do is we're going to again knit 20, So I'm at 19 and 20. But once you're here now, what we're going to do is we're actually going to flip the needles and purl these 20 on the opposite side. But before we do that, we're going to kind of like lock these stitches together. The way to lock it is move this in the front, take this, move the stitch to the other needle, put this in the back, and then return the stitch back to the initial needle. And then just flip the needles, and now we're going to purl the 20 that we had knit. So we're going to purl it till the end of the row. Here is 19 and 20. So now row 9, we are going to knit the whole row, but once you get here, I'll show you where we locked the stitches. I'll show you what to do there, but let's knit the first 20 and then get to that point, or the first 19 and get to that point. So this is 19 and this is the one that was locked. So you would basically just take this stitch from here, put this one back up, and then just knit these two together, and that's it. And then complete knitting the row to the end. And we are at the end of that row, which was row 9. These rows from row 4 to row 9, we are going to keep repeating till that we get the length of the hat that we want. So I'm going to show it to you again, but row 4 to row 9 is repeated now. So again, the next row, which is my row 10, is knit 10 and purl 20. Nine, 10, and now we're going to purl the remaining stitches till we get to the end of the row. Row 11 would be all knits, so you're going to knit all the way till the end of the row. Row 12, what we're going to do is knit 10 and then purl 20. Now for row 13, what we're going to do is only knit the first 20 stitches, and then we're going to lock the stitches here, and then we're going to switch to the other side. So we're going to only knit the first 20 stitches. And here we're going to lock the stitch. So we move the yarn to the front, to the back, take this over, move the yarn to the back, and move this stitch back to the other needle. And then switch over, and here what we're going to do is purl the 20 stitches that we had knit. So now for the last row, what you're going to do is knit all the way through till the very end. So knit the whole row. But once you get to your 20th stitch, we're going to do something slightly different because we had locked those two stitches together. So we're just going to pick up the yarn and knit it together with this stitch. So here I am on my 20th stitch. So this is the one where we had locked it. So this is my 21st stitch. So I have knit my 20 stitches. So here what I'm going to do is pick up the locked, so I'm going to pick up this locked yarn, and I'm going to then just knit these two together like that, so that way it comes up just normal, and knit the remaining stitches till I get to the very end. Now this is the pattern you're going to continue moving on with. So basically these row 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, so these 6 rows is what you are going to keep repeating till you get the hat to the size you want. So once you have knit the length you need or your desire, now to determine the length, what you could do is a hat you might already have for whoever you're knitting for. You could measure this opening. So this is where the head is going to fit in, like the face portion. So you could measure this to see if this is the same length. And that way then you are able to tell that you've gotten the length you need. For me, what I did, because I am doing it for a 3-month-old baby, so I basically went from the front side. So this is my front. These lines, the number of straight lines you see here, these are 36. So I did 36 lines of these in order to get the size I want, and this is for a 3-month-old. So once you have the desired length that you need, what we're going to now do is the same that we did in the very beginning to get this particular pattern. So we're going to have 1 row of purl, 1 row of knit, and another row of purl to get this, and then we're going to bind off. Your last row that you would have finished would be on your right side. So now here we would do is the 3 rows. We would purl 1 row, knit 1 row, and purl the next row, and that is where we're going to end off before we bind off. So here we will start purling. Our next row would be all knit. So the first row was all purl, the next row is all knit. And our last row will be all purl one more time. So after you finish this row, we're going to bind off. So let's do the last row of all purls. And once you're done here, now we're going to bind off the hat. So we're going to just do the simple bind off, which is 1 stitch over the other. And here is my last stitch. So once you've bound off your hat, what you're going to do now is sew one side together. But one little tip here, to know that you're finished binding off in the right direction, what you want to make sure is when you're binding off your last stitch, you're binding off away from the front of your hat. So this side is where the face is going to be facing, so you want to make sure you bound off on the opposite side. So you want to be up when you're binding off, you want to end up on the opposite side of this particular border here. So if you noticed, after binding off, I'm on this side, and that's where you want to end up, because now you're going to cut an extra bit of yarn because you're going to use that to sew your hat. So now this is a reversible hat, so you have to determine which side is your back side and which side is your front side. So both sides can be either back or front. I'm going to make this my front, so I'm going to fold this inside so my back side appears upwards on the outside, because I'm going to sew and I want to make sure my sewing is in the inside part of the hat. So you would now fold it in the right way, and you're only going to sew one side. So you're going to leave this side open and you're going to leave this side open. So only this back side is what you're going to be sewing together. So you want to make sure it all aligns, and then you start sewing. So leave some extra yarn, cut some extra yarn, and then put it in your needle, and then let's sew the back side together. So once you have your needle ready, your first stitch that it's going to go through is the last stitch that's remaining. So you're going to just make it go through that and tighten it up. And then what you're going to do is, when you're aligning it, you want to make sure you start off proper in the corner. So you're going to take it at the very edge on both sides, so it picks up the corner, and sew this. And then again at the very edge and sew this, so it doesn't open up from the edges. And then what you want to do is go through each stitch. So make sure you're going through each of these rows. You're going through the stitches, because you don't want holes, and you also want to make sure it's tight and secure. So you want to go through each of the stitches and just keep sewing it till the very end of that particular row. So you want to sew all the way through till right here, and here you'll knot it up and close it, and then we'll work on the next part. Once you have finished sewing the back side of your hat, what you're going to do is open it up. So this is how it looks right here. Now this is not completed yet, so this is how the hat looks. As you notice that we have this bit right here on the other side. This is what we're going to now use. So the reason why we have this is to put a string cord that you tighten the hat with. The string that you're going to attach here, so that you could tie the hat to the baby, you could create two ways. One, you could use a crochet hook and just crochet a long string, or you could use double pointed needles and do an I-cord. What I chose to do was an I-cord. I did an I-cord with basically 2 stitches. So I just knitted 2 stitches, and you could determine the length of your I-cord. What you're basically going to do is determine the middle. So I'm going to do it this way and put it here. And you want to make it so that it stays inside this area that you had knit differently. And you are going to then take your needle, So you're going to take needle and some yarn, and what we're going to do is basically knit all the way around. So you're basically going to keep this, so you're going to continue holding this down, so holding it to the back so that way you could reach here, and you're going to just knit through. And you could do is make a knot here so it doesn't go through, and then knit back and sew back. So you're going to continue doing this all the way through, and you want to make sure you keep pushing that down so it doesn't come out. And I'm trying to keep it as high to it as possible, but and just make it tight. And again, the same way as you were sewing the hat itself, the closer, like if you do every row or every stitch in this case, it will ensure that it's a tight fit and then there's no holes. So you will continue to do this till you reach the very end, and once you're there, you're pretty much done with your hat. Once you complete stitching the whole thing, this is how it will look. And this is your hat. Sideways, it will look like this. So this is how it would look on a baby. Relax, enjoy, and keep knitting. If you like this video, don't forget to click that like button. And if you're new, welcome. Don't forget to click that subscribe button to get the latest videos on knitting projects, knitting patterns, knitting ideas, and much more.